Okay, guys, I guess we are live. Hi, guys, welcome to Cracku's video series. Today, as like every other weekend, we have a revision session where we will be doing a lot of questions in today's class. So, today's topic is basically ratios, proportions, and percentages. We'll also be looking into other things, basically, which are like somewhat related to ratios and proportions, but because these topics, ratios, proportions, and percentages, they are not standalone topics as such. They help solving questions for other topics, as in like mixtures le lo. You can take mixtures, for instance. You can take allegations, for instance. You can take interests, for instance. Linear equations. All of those things have applications of ratios, proportions. So today we will be looking into all of that, averages, and so we'll be looking into a variety of questions today. It's not going to be just one kind of questions. So how these classes work, right? Like I'll put a question, I'll give us timer for you guys to give it a try. After that, we'll discuss what should be the approach for this question, how we can basically solve it, and also we'll discuss if there's like an easier hack to do it or something like that. And obviously, if you guys have any doubts, you can like let me know in the comments. One thing though, guys, I would ask you guys to like the stream, because liking the stream helps it reach more people, more serious aspirants like you guys. So yeah, that being said, let's start with the first question of the day. Once you're done with the question, guys, do post the answers in the chats, so that we can discuss what is the correct answer and whatnot. Okay, guys, time is up. Some of you answered 12.5 kgs option D. Some of you answered option C. We'll see. We'll solve it. Hi, Mr. Rohit. Matthew, before we get into this, I'd like to answer this question. He says he's a repeater. He wrote a mock. Should I analyze it? See, I would say whenever you're giving mocks, mock is just an exam. Okay. The real work while giving mocks is to analyze it later. Because why we need to analyze the mocks? Because we need to see where are we lacking, what are the areas that we are doing well, what are the areas that need work. So because you're a repeater, even if you were not a repeater, I would have said anyone who's basically giving mocks, you should start taking mocks, because we don't have like a lot of time anymore. So definitely start taking mocks. And secondly, do analyze them properly. Make a proper spreadsheet if you want. If you are someone who's not comfortable with spreadsheets, then write down or something, like wherever, but make a proper note what are the questions that I'm getting correct, what are the questions I'm getting wrong. If I'm getting a question wrong in that case, what is it? Like, if it is because I don't really know how to solve it, or is it like it was a time thing, or like, in pressure situations, sometimes it happens brain stops working. So what was that error? So categorize it properly, because that is when you start to see the patterns. Like, where I'm lacking, what are the things I need to, perfect, make them better in my preparation. So I would say like definitely analyze the mocks, guys. Okay, a lot of you answered D. I think D might be the correct answer. Let's see this. So this says fresh grapes contain 75% water, while dry grapes contain 20% water. Anil bought 40 kgs of fresh grapes and dried them in 1 day. Okay, what is the weight of the dried grapes? So these are, very common questions from like mixtures and allegations. What this question basically tests is that when we have a grape, there is like some amount of it is water, some amount of it is like the pulp, like the grape thing. So what happens when you dry something? The water is the thing that is going away, right? The content, or like the pulp, the grape ka pulp, that remains constant in both the cases. So what are the cases? Case one is like we have the fresh grape and then we have the dried grape. But in both these cases, the pulp remains same. So the funda for solving these kind of questions is equate karo pulp from both the sides. So he says कि Anil brought 40 kgs of fresh grapes. What is the weight of dried grapes? Let's consider कि there is like X kgs of dried grapes. Now fresh fresh is 40 kgs. It says कि fresh grapes contain 75% water. So if it's 75% of the volume is water, it means what? 25% is the pulp. So what is the amount of pulp? The pulp is basically what we are equating here. In fresh grapes, what is the pulp? It is 25% of 40. And this should be equal to the amount of pulp in the dried grapes. Dried grape ka weight we have taken X, and dried grapes contain 20% water. So if a dried grape contains 20% water, it means 80% of the volume of the dried grape is pulp. So we can say this should be equal to 80% of X, and X is the thing we need to figure out. So this is like a very simple equation, right? That is the only work we need to do in this question. Now 25% is 25 by 100, which is 1 by 4, and 1 by 4 times 40 will give me 10. So 10 should be equal to 80%, is 80 by 100, which is 4/5. So 10 is equal to 4 by 5x, or x is equal to 50 by 4. 50 by 4, 25, 25 ka half is 12.5. So very simple question. This was the only logic that we needed to keep in mind while solving this. Option D should be the correct answer here. So to all the guys who marked option D, well done, you got it correct. Let's move on to the next question, guys. Do put the answers in the chat box, guys. Last 30 seconds, guys. Do give this a try. Okay, guys, a lot of you answered D. Let's see if this is the correct answer here. Before that, there's this one comment which says, I want to prepare for CAT and I'm scared about my profile. 10th, 12th grad school marks. Can I get IIM? Is it a good profile? See, Rohit, one thing I would say, ki like, this is something which Sir also always says. He says, ki like, the whatever happened in the past, that is not something that we can change now, right? What we can do now is not worry about it and instead focus more on the CAT. See, like, it's not that, it's unusual for a person to get into IIM with like, an average profile, but you need to compensate for that with like a very high CAT percentile. That is something which is still in your control. So prepare well for CAT, and I hope you do really well and get into an IIM that you want. So don't get disheartened at the start only, ki like because I did not have marks and all. CAT mein acha karo, that will like offset that. Okay, okay. A lot of you guys have answered D. Let's read this question. This says ki Y plus 40 liters of mixture is available in a bucket A, where the ratio of milk and water is 7:5 respectively. Y liters of a mixture is available in a bucket B, where the quantity of milk is 50% more than the quantity of water. If the mixtures of both the buckets are mixed together, then the quantity of water in the new mixture is given to be 180 liters. Okay, find out the value of Y minus 40. Okay, so from both the cases, we are given ratios or percentages to tell us what is the amount of water we will have in that both the cases. And then they are telling us that both the buckets are mixed together. So like, unko kuch ratio mein nahi mix kiya. Like a cup, 2 cups, they just dumped it together and like mixed it. So it's like whole of water that is there in bucket A and whole of water that is there in bucket B will be there in the final mixture. So that is the takeaway. What we will be proceeding here is like we'll calculate the amount of water in bucket A, amount of water in bucket B, add them up together and equate that to 180. That should be the approach here. Let's try solving this, guys. So let's do bucket A ka pehle. In bucket A, what is the content? The content is Y plus 40 liters. And isme milk and water is 7:5. So milk is to water is given to be 7:5. So what is the amount of water here? The amount of water, let's call it WA, like water in A, is basically 5 by 7 plus 5, which is 5 by 12 times Y plus 40. Right, proportion times the total. So this is the water in A. Now let's calculate the amount of water in B. The relation given in B is, okay, amount is given to be Y, okay, total amount. The relation given is milk is 50% more than the quantity of water. So if I take the quantity of water to be say WB, in that case the milk will be 50% more, which is 1.5. 1.5 times the amount of water. That is the takeaway. So this gives me ratio of milk to ratio of water in B is 1.5 is basically what? 1.5 is 15 by 10 and 15 by 10 is 3 by 2. So what is the amount of water in B? Amount of water, ये ratio हो गया ना, milk is to water is 3:2. So the amount of water in B will be 2 by 2 plus 3, which is 5 times Y. So now we have water in A, water in B. The total is given to be 180. Let us make the equation. Okay, like water in B and water in A should add up to 180. That gives me 2Y by 5 plus, what is it? 5 by 12 Y plus 40 is equal to 180. We need to figure out Y minus 40. So from this equation, we can very easily figure out Y. So let's do Y first, then we'll just subtract 40. 12 and 5 ka LCM is 60. So this will give me 60 5 12, so this will be 24y plus 12, so 5, so 25, 25y plus 40, 25y, and 25 times 40 is 100. 1000. 25 times 4 is 100, so 25 times 40 is 1000. This should be equal to 180. Okay. So from here we get 49y plus 1000 is equal to 180 times 60. Now 18 5s is 90 and 18 6s will be 90 plus 18, which is 108. So this becomes 10800. Subtract 1000, so y should be equal to 10800 minus 1000 is 9800 divided by 49. 49 2s is 98, so y is 200. That gives me y minus 40 will be 200 minus 40, which is 160. So all of you who answered 160 option D, you guys are correct. Option D is the correct answer here. Any questions in this, guys? Otherwise, let's move on to the next question. The next question is, I think, thoda sa harder. So give it your best, guys. It's a fun question. Give it a try. Also, guys, once you're done, do post the answers in this chat. And please like the stream as well, guys. If you're liking the questions that are being done, do like the stream so that it reaches to more serious aspirants like you guys. Okay, so this probably was a little harder to solve once we said D. Okay, let's see this question. So it says 5 distinct natural numbers are in an arithmetic progression. Now, what is an arithmetic progression? An arithmetic progression is a progression where it's a series basically where the terms have a common difference. Something like just a 2, then 5, then 8, then 11, कि like plus 3 plus 3 plus 3 होके जा रहा है. It can also be ulta, like it can be something like say 8, 4, 0, minus 4, कि like minus 4, minus 4, minus 4 होके जा रहा है. But that is the thing, the difference is constant. So this kind of a progression is called an arithmetic progression. So it says that 5 distinct natural numbers are in an AP and their average is 8. What is the maximum possible product of the 5 natural numbers? So one thing to know here is how do we define terms in an AP. In an AP, if I have, say, the first term to be A, then the next term is basically going to be A plus D, where D is that common difference. The term next to it is going to be A plus 2D, then it goes to be A plus 3D, and then it goes to be A plus 4D. So that can be one approach to solve it. But one thing to note here is, look at the question. The question says average is given to be 8. Average is given to be 8, and then we figure out the product of the numbers. So multiplying these 5 is actually pretty difficult, right? Like each of these terms, there's nothing in common. It will be a very complicated expansion. So what we can do here is, instead of taking the 5 terms to be this, we can take the 5 terms to be something like this. दो term पीछे का ले लो, a minus d and a minus 2d. Why do we do this? Because we want to find the sum, right? So when I add up these 5 terms, all the d's get cancelled out, I get the value of a. So that is why I do this. So now get back to the question. Average is given to be 8. 5 terms ka average is like sum of the 5 terms. Average is what? Average is basically sum divided by number of terms. Number of terms here is 5. Average is given to be 8. So the sum will basically be 8 times 5, which is 40, right? So if I add up these 5 terms, I should get a 40. Let's do that. A minus 2d plus a minus d plus a plus a plus d plus a plus 2d. This should give me a 40. All the d's get cancelled out. So 5 times of a is a 40, which tells me a is basically 8. Now if a is 8, so the terms basically become what? 8 minus 2d. Okay, let's keep them this way only. Finally, they tell us what is the maximum possible product of the 5 natural numbers. Product is multiplication. So what we do is multiply them. A minus 2d times a minus d times a plus d times a plus 2d. This should be equal to what? I don't know. This is the product, and this is something which I need to maximize. This is the product which I need to maximize. How do I do that? So we can simplify this expression a little bit. One thing to see here is this a plus d and a minus d term. Whenever we have this a plus d times a minus d, the immediate thought should be a square minus b square, because a square minus b square ka expansion is what? A plus d into a minus d. So that only will apply. A ka to kuch nahi hai, so it's a minus d times a plus d gives me a square minus d square. Similarly, a minus 2d into a plus 2d should give me a square minus 2d ka whole square. This should also be there. So the product is basically a ke jagah mein let's put the value 8. A square is 64 minus d square, and here we have 64 minus 4d square. We need to maximize this. The thing to note here is, when will the product be maximum here? When all these terms are in their maximum value. Ki तीनों term का maximum value when we'll get, in that case we'll get the maximum of the product. Now when will we get this to be maximum? Product will be maximum when d here is minimum. Why? Because d is subtracting. So jitna chota d we will subtract, the smaller the d that we are subtracting, this number ultimately renders to be a bigger number. So d needs to be minimum. Now what can be the minimum value of d? One thing to see, d is positive. If we did not know that, still d has to be natural number, so d has to be somewhat greater than 0. The thing is, they are distinct natural numbers. Distinct means what? Ki all of them are individual numbers. So d ko agar hum log 0 put karta hai, if we had put d to be equal to 0, then all the terms would essentially become a. If we put d to be equal to 0. But this will not be the case. We cannot have this. Why? Because the question says that the numbers are distinct. So the minimum value D can have here is 1. Other than 1, we can't have anything. We can't have 0.5 or something. Why? Because they're natural numbers. Ye 8 hai. A is 8. So if I add 0.5 to it, it becomes 8.5, which is not a natural number. We want only natural numbers here. So the minimum value that D can take is equal to 1. So what is the maximum value of the product now? Maximum value of the product becomes 8 times 64 minus D square. If D is 1, 64 minus 1 is 63. And either 64 minus 4, which gives me 60. So 8 6 is 48. 48 times 63. Okay, and a 0 is also there. So 63 and 48 we can multiply. 8 3s are 24, carry 2. 8 6 are 48 and 4 3s are 12. 48 plus 12 is 60. Plus 2 is 62. So carry 6. 6 4s are 24 plus 6 30. So multiplying this should give me 3024. So the answer should be 3024 and a 0 is also there. So this. The correct answer here is 30240, which is option C. Yeah, a lot of you guys answered C. One of you said A. But I hope we understood this approach, right guys? This was a somewhat difficult question. But yeah, I hope we understood this. Any questions in this, guys, please let me know. And also if you like this question, please like the stream as well. We'll move on to the next question then now. Okay, before moving on to the next question, I would like to tell you guys about the new batch that we are starting. So what happens in CAT, obviously we have like a lot of free resources and everything. But the thing is, a structured preparation is always very, very important whenever you're preparing for an exam, a competitive exam like CAT. And that is where, the Cracku ka paid course actually comes in handy a lot. Because we offer you a lot of stuff. Basically, we do the whole thing for you. You just need to study. We'll tell you what to study. We'll tell you when to study what. We'll tell you what to do, what not to do. We'll give you questions to practice. Everything is covered. All you need to do is just study. So, wo planning ka part is taken out from the equation only. So, you can just focus on studying. So, what we offer in our live classes is, we have daily live classes. It's mostly taken by sir and ma'am and a few of us as well. So, we have the daily live classes. We have weekly revision sessions. Every week on YouTube, sometimes on our website, we'll have revisions where you can strengthen your concepts and all. We make a day-wise schedule for you. Ki like, if you start from today, what amount of time you are going to take to complete the whole thing before CAT? When are you going to do the practice sessions? When are you going to give the mocks and how to analyze the mocks? Everything is covered there in the day-wise schedule. And also, after that also, if you need some one-on-one guidance, because obviously everyone has an individual thing, right? So when you need the one-on-one guidance thing, we have the mentorship sessions for you guys. You can basically book a mentorship session and connect with one of our mentors and basically, plan out your whole journey accordingly. Ki these are the colleges I'm targeting. So what I should be doing, what I shouldn't be doing. And I'm a working professional or say I have college. So when do I study? How do I manage everything? Everything ka answers you can get in a one-on-one session. This is a screenshot of the day-wise schedule that we have. The next batch, which is called the Astra batch, that is starting on this Monday. So you can basically contact us here at in this number. You can call or WhatsApp us. We'll be very happy to share the details. Or you can also just Google search Cracku CAT 2026 course. You'll land on our website. From there also you can basically purchase it. So check it out, guys. And yeah, contact this number if you guys have any more questions about this. My profile is 997. I have 3-year gap before graduation. I was a science student, shifted to BCom. This will create a problem for me? Blaze, the thing is, gaps are not very uncommon. A lot of people take gaps. Gaps can be, for health reasons, maybe streams change and all that you said. That could also be a reason. There are people who prepare for UPSC. So gap is not a big deal as long as you can justify what you did basically. it can't be like, I had a 3-year gap and I did nothing in the time period to, like, upgrade myself. That can create a problem. But if you have a proper justification, ki I did this and that, I did this to make myself better, in that case, a gap year is fine. So do not really worry about the gap year now. The first stage is to ace CAT. So, and how do we ace CAT? We practice a lot of questions, we do the concepts and everything. So let's focus on acing CAT right now. Gaps and all uska to interview stage mein, that is like after the CAT thing, right? So uske liye don't worry right now. ठीक है. Let's move on to the next question, guys. It's a simple question, give it a try. Sorry. Do put the answers in the chat, guys. Okay, guys. We said 23.25 lakhs. Okay, let's check this question out. It says that the profit earned by an organization is distributed amongst officers and clerks, where the individual amount received by them is in the ratio 5:3. Okay, like whatever amount the officers are receiving, if that is 5k, then the amount the clerks are receiving is 3k. Not total, individually. Like each officer is to each clerk. That's that kind of a thing. If the number of officers is 45 and the number of clerks is 80, what is the amount received by each officer is 25,000. What is the total amount of profit earned? Okay. So profit is being divided in the amongst officers and clerks. So we have here, so we have here officers and we have clerks. Okay. So number of clerks is 80, number of officers is 45. So the number here, let's just write it down, 45 and 80. And the amount that they receive is in the ratio 5:3. So if officers are receiving 5, then each clerk is receiving a 3. Officer is receiving 25,000. So how much each officer is receiving 25,000. So how much is each clerk receiving? Each clerk will be receiving, we can basically figure it out like this, कि 5/3, same proportion में divide होगा, right? This should be equal to 25,000 by whatever this is. So this will be 5, so this should be 15,000. We could easily calculate that also, कि like बीच में से only, so that will be 15,000. So each officer is receiving 25,000, each clerk is receiving 15,000. Now they also give us the total amount, Um, Average is given to be, where did it go? 25,000. No. One second, guys. Okay. Yeah, so profit of an organization, distributed clerks, or the individual amount received by them is in the ratio 5:3. Okay, so what is the total thing? Now, officers are 45, each is receiving 25,000. So, what is the total amount? Total would be 25,000 times 45. This is like the total received by the clerk officers. And then what is about the clerks? Clerks to 15,000 mil raha hai, and total amount of the number of them is 80. So we need to basically calculate this to get the total amount. How do we calculate this? 25 times 45 will give me 25 carry 2, 20, 10, 30, 2 is 3, 8, 3, 11. So that should be 1125,000 plus 15 times 8. So 15 times 2 is 30. So 30 times 4 is 120. So this should be 120,000. So 3 zeros to acha theek hai. 0, 0. Okay. 3 zeros, so we take it out, and then 1125 and 11200. Adding that up, we get 253. So 2325000. The answer is given in lakhs, right? So lakhs mein kaise lete hain? 1010. So it's like 23 lakhs, 25,000. So 23.25 lakhs, option D should be the correct answer here. This was an easy question, guys. Yeah, absolutely correct, Akash. Sharanya, Akshat, hello world. All of you guys are absolutely correct. Let's move on to the next question, guys. In any point, if you guys have any questions about like what I did here, like a step or something, please let me know in the chats. I'll be more than happy to like clear that out for you. Let's give this a try, guys. Put the answers in the chats, guys. Okay, guys. So this question, lot of you answered and lot of you got it correct also. I think 288A is the predominant answer here. Let's see. So the question says the average age of a group of six sixers decreased by 12 years immediately when a pair of twins is born. What is the total age of all eight siblings immediately after the birth of the twins? So first we had like the six sisters, then twins was born, which is like two more sisters. So that became eight. They are asking us what is the total age of all the eight siblings. So let's consider that the average age before the birth of the twins, let the average age be A. In that case, the total age for all the six siblings would be what? The total age for all the six siblings would be 6A. Because obviously total age को divided by 6 किया फिर ही तो average निकला. Right, so the total age for all the six should be 6A. Now they say कि like when a pair of twins is born, when the two children are immediately born, they are not contributing to the total age because their age is still 0 only, right? So when they were born, the total age of all the 8 children is still 6A. Because the two twins, the two children that were born, they're not contributing to the age, their age is 0. So total age still remains 8, but the average of all the 8, that becomes 6A divided by 8, because the number has changed from 6 to 8 now. This is basically 3/4 of A, or 3A by 4, let's write it. What does this question say? The question says कि the average age decreases by 12 years. So it means कि पहले का age था A, from that the new is 3A by 4, the decrease is how much? 12 years. That is the thing we need to arrive at here. After that the question is done. So this tells कि like A minus 3/4 of A, which is 1/4 of A, this should be equal to 12. So A is basically 12 fours are 48. The question asks us to find the total age of all the 8 siblings. So the total age is 6A. 6A is 48 times 6. Now do I need to calculate it? See, 8 times 6, the last digit should be 8. If I look into the options, only this one has the last digit to be 8. So without even having to calculate the whole thing, just comparing the last digit, we can say that option A has to be the correct answer here. So this was it. Yes, CA, this is a CATCA revision classes for like percentages and ratio proportion and all that stuff. I hope this question is clear to you guys. Let's move on to the next question then. This one is a little harder, so like give it a shot. Do put the answers in the chat box, guys. Okay, guys. Hamad says 7. Akshat says B. Let's see this question. So this says all the natural numbers from 1 to n were written on a board. When one of the numbers, okay, I'll just shorten it. Yeah. So all the natural numbers from 1 to n were written on a board. When one of the numbers was erased, the average of the remaining numbers was this 25.375. Which number was erased? So basically all the numbers from 1 to all the way till some number n has been written, and let's take the number that was erased is say E. E was erased. So E basically lies somewhere between 1 and n. That is the given thing. Now when E was erased, then the average was this. So average would be what? Total divided by the number of terms, right? So what is the sum of all the terms? 1 to n plus karega, then we can remove E to basically get the sum. 1 to n while we add, because we have the formula, sum of the first n natural numbers is n into n plus 1 divided by 2. From here if I subtract E, that should give me the total of all the numbers that are still on the blackboard. And what is the total number of terms? The total number of terms here basically is 1 to n to n terms, but one term is removed, so it is n minus 1 terms. This is the average, and this is equal to 25.375. Okay, so before equating and trying to solve, let's simplify this area a little bit. Let's just write it down here. It's n plus 1 by 2 minus E, right? So we can take the 2 as the LCM, so that gives me minus 2E, and divided by 2 into n minus 1. Now how do we simplify this? One thing is that there's something called partial fractions. Basically what it means is we are breaking down this big thing into like different segments, so that it's easier to operate on them like that. So what I can see here is we have a n minus 1. So if I had a n minus 1 upar, okay, this we can like n into n plus 1 is basically n square plus n. So if I had an n minus 1 upar mein, we could have cancelled it out. So what we will do here is basically introduce a variable so that we get an n minus 1. What we can do here is n square to acha theek hai, we'll do a minus n, because in that case n square minus n should give me an n minus 1. But this is something new which I am introducing. So if I am introducing something, I'll have to counter it also with a plus n so that the expression doesn't change. And then there is already another n here. So this basically becomes plus 2n. Right. Similarly, 2n ka, if I wanted to get an n minus 1 common, what do I need? I need a minus 2. Let's just introduce a minus 2. If I am introducing a minus 2, I need to have a plus 2 as well. And then I am left with the remaining 2ic minus wala. Now, whole thing is divided by 2 of n minus 1. Now what do? We break it up. That is called partial fractions. So we have n square minus n by 2n minus 1 plus we have 2 n minus 1 divided by 2n minus 1, right? 2n minus 2 से common लिया तो 2n minus 1 plus 2 common लेके 1 minus e divided by 2n minus 1. N square minus n, this so we can write to be n into n minus 1 also. So now this n square minus 1 gets cancelled out from this term, it also gets cancelled out from this term. This term, so everything gets cancelled out. Here we have n square minus 1 gets cancelled out. So simplified answer is n by 2 plus 1. 1 minus e is going to be negative anyways because e lies between 1 and n. So it's better to like make it e minus 1. In that case, we can take the minus common and 2 also gets cancelled out here. So the expression here becomes e minus 1 divided by n minus 1. This is equal to 25.375. So we simplified this big expression basically to get this. Now let's look into what we need to do. So this is an equation, obviously. This is an equation in two variables n and e. Now this will be a pretty long equation to solve. Why? Because one equation, two variables, there are ways to solve it, but it's going to be pretty long and we'll get a lot of values as such. So instead of that, let's try to shorten the range. Like in this range only we can have the values, otherwise this will not work. So what is the range that we can get? Any range. This is the range that we can have. The e ka value should lie between 1 and n. We'll use this to our advantage thoda sa. What we can do here is e should lie between 1 and n. That tells me e minus 1 should lie between 0 and n minus 1. 1 is a positive quantity, so when I'm subtracting it from all of them, the inequality is not being flipped. Now I can basically bring this down. So 0 should be e minus 1 by n minus 1. This should be less than or equal to 1. N minus 1 se we can divide because n minus 1 is positive. So positive numbers se divide and it's obviously not 0 because n is not 1. If n were 1, then the average would not be 25 point this. Right. So n minus 1 is not 0 also, so we can easily divide it. So this expression is basically this one. So we arranged it like that so that this expression ka range we find something. Now we can basically try and put these values and see if we can get a better range here. So e minus 1 will be what? N by 2 plus 1 minus 25. So this tells me e minus 1 by n minus 1 should basically be equal to n by 2 plus 1 minus 25.375. And that we'll substitute here. So why we are doing this? This is based on both e and n, but this side is just based on n. So n ke liye we'll actually get a range. That is why we are substituting it here. So we get this 0 is less than or equal to n by 2 plus 1 minus 25.375. This is greater than or equal to 1. So now I can just do the side change of things because this is also positive this. So we'll get 25.375 minus 1 is less than or equal to n by 2 and it is greater than or equal to 1 minus 1 plus 25.375. So that gives me, either say we'll get 24.375 is less than or equal to n by 2 and this is 1 gets cancelled out, so it is less than or equal to 25.375. Now n is what? N is a natural number. So when I multiply with the 2 all the inequality, this will give me 24 times 2 is 48.6 something that will get. Not 6, 48.7 something I think, but like 48 point something we'll get when I multiply this with this. This should be less than or equal to n and this should be 2 se 25 karega to 50 point something. N is a natural number. So n can be in this range, n can only be 49 or 50. N cannot have any other value in this range. 48 point something means 48 से ज़्यादा, so 49 हो गया, 50 हो गया, 50 point something से कम, so that's 50 only. 51 will not be there. So N का value we narrowed it down to two values only. N can be 49 or N can be 50. Now based on these we can basically calculate the value of E minus 1. So we can have two cases. We'll just verify them. If both the cases work, then we can say like it should be none of these, because we have two answers here. If only one of the cases works, then we can have our answer. So case 1 is like N should be equal to 49. When N is 49, in that case E minus 1 by N minus 1, which is 49 minus 1, which is 48, should be equal to N by 2, 49 by 2, which is 24.5. 24.5 plus 1 minus 25.375. So this should be 25.5 minus 25.375. So this should give me 0.125, 0.625. Yeah, so this side should be 0.625. This gives me E is equal to 0.125 times 48 plus 1. So 0.125 times this is giving to be 6 plus 1, which is 7. So E ka one value we found to be 7. Now when we put N to be equal to 50, what do we get? In that case, E minus 1 divided by 49 should give me 50 by 2 is 25. 25 plus 1 should give me 26 minus 25.375. So this should be equal to 0.625. So that tells me E should be equal to 49 times 0.625 plus 1. Now this will not give me an integer. We can very easily say that without having to calculate. Why? Because 0.625 is like ending with a 5. So for it to have a non-decimal thing, I need to multiply it with something 2. 2 rahega, fir only na we'll get a 5 and 2 ka 10, so like the decimals shift. Here it is 49. No 2, 2 7s we have. So this will definitely not be an integer. So 1 plus karke bhi we will not get an integer. So this one will not give me an integer. So we can say ki N is not equal to 50, rather N is only equal to 49, and when N is equal to 49, E ka value is 7. So all those of you guys who answered 7, you were absolutely correct. The correct answer is option B, which is 7. Any questions in any step in this, guys? Which part did you not understand in math? I mean, this can be a little bit daunting because there's an inequality and then there's all that. But that is the thing, no? Ki like in CAT, the questions are not just based on one of the topics. It's usually like, you know, sab kuch thoda sa idhar se leke we do. So this is like a pretty CAT standard. For CAT, I would say this is like a medium to hard question. But yeah, in CAT you can actually expect a question like this. Why assumed it is an even number? Where are we assuming anything to be even? Chetna Ratna, yeah. So nowhere we are assuming it to be even, right? If you're talking about this n by 2, n plus 1 by 2, so this is always going to be even. Because this is like the formula thing, right? Sum of all the natural numbers is n into n plus 1. Ki n tak sum karega to n into n plus 1. So like one of these numbers has to be even anyways. So this always gives an integer. If you guys have any other doubts, please let me know. We'll move on to the next question. Before we move on to the next question, I would like to remind you guys again about the mentorship program. Like obviously everyone has different things going on. Some of you were asking also like about the profile thing, I have a gap or that and that. So any doubts that you have, like anything about your preparation or like a general suggestion also, you can obviously reach out to our mentors. We have the free mentorship program. So basically you can book a slot from our site. The link will be shared in the texts. So you can book a slot, get guidance about anything, about focus, study plans and more. Like I have office from this to this time. So when should I do what? How much VRC should I be doing? If you are say someone like weak in VRC, or what should I do to improve this particular section or something like that. Any guidance is going to be there, and you can book as many times as you want. It's not like just one day and then you're done. So free mentorship session, free always. So do check it out. The link will be shared in the description. Let's move on to the next question here, guys. Okay, a lot of you guys have put the thing. Yeah, let's discuss this. B is predominantly the answer for everyone. I think it might be the correct answer here. Let's solve this. It says the mean yearly salary of an employee of a company was 20,000. Mean yearly salaries of male and female employees were 20,800 and 16,800. Okay. Find the ratio of males and females in the company. So we can basically say let the number of males be M, let the number of females be F. So we need to figure out M is to F. Now for the males, the average salary is what? 20,800. For the females, the average salary is 16,800. And the average salary of the combined thing, the combined salary, the combined average is basically 20,000. So how do we go about this? Combined average means this is also included, this is also included. Clear question of weighted averages, right? So what will be the average? The average will be number of males times average salary of each male plus number of females times average salary of each female divided by the total number, which is M plus F, and this should give me 20,000. Now the question is just simplifications. We'll just cross out the zeros. So this gives me 208M plus 168F is equal to 200M plus 200F. Pretty easy now. 208 minus 200 should give me 8m. This is equal to 200 minus 168. 200 minus 170 is 30, so this should be 32f. Now 8 and 32 is what? 8 fours are 32, right? So m is equal to 4f, or m by f is equal to 4 by 1. Number of males to the number of females should be equal to 4 by 1, which is 4:1. So yes, all of you guys were correct. The correct answer is option B, which is 4:1. Okay guys, let's move on to the next question then. This is also a little tricky, so I would want all of you guys to like give this a shot. It's an interesting question. Do put the answers in the chat box, guys. For 12 seconds, guys. Give it a try and put the answers in the chat. Okay, guys, a lot of you have answered C. Before that, I think we'll just go back quickly to one of the previous questions. One of these. So, Hello World says ki like the doubt could have been ki this E. So, why did I take E? I took E because one of the numbers was erased. So, to keep that, I said ki like let the number be E. E is not because even, because finally you see the answer is 7, which is odd only, na. So this E was not for even, this E was more for erased. Okay, okay, let's get back to this question. Yeah, so this one says the Anisha shared 60% of her chocolate bars in the ratio 5:7 between her two cousins and kept the remaining bars for herself. Had she distributed the entire collection in a 1:1:1 ratio among her cousins and herself, she would have received 160 grams less chocolate. What was the total weight of the chocolate bars? So let's say, obviously we have to assume that each chocolate bar weighs identical. So we can say let the total weight be T. So now if I divide it by weight, then I am also dividing it by the number. What I mean is, if I have 5 chocolates and let's say each is 25 kg each, each is 25 gram each, let's say. In that case, if I divide the chocolates in a 3:2 ratio, like 3 chocolates and 2 chocolates, this is same as me dividing the weight. Weight bhi agar hum 3:2 ratio mein karega, so this will be 15 and this will be 10. What is the weight of 3 chocolates? Weight of the 3 chocolates will be 3 times 25, which will be 75. And here we'll have 2 times 25, which is 50. So we can basically get the same thing, 25 grams each. So that would mean 5 chocolates is what? 5 chocolates will be 125. Now 125 ko if I divide in a 3:2 ratio, I still get 75 and 50. So the goal or the thing which I am trying to tell here is that if I am dividing, these are obviously on the number, right? Number of chocolate bars, 60% of our chocolate bars and all that. And the final question asks us about the total weight. So why did we take that small example? Because numbers jis ratio mein divide ho raha, in the ratio in which the numbers are being divided, in the same ratio the weights will also be divided. So we can basically just change them, interchange them and solve it. So Anisha shared 60% of her chocolate bars in the ratio 5:7 between her 2 cousins, kept the remaining for herself. What was the total weight of the chocolate bars is given. So 60% she shared with the cousins and she kept remaining for herself. So what is the remaining? The remaining is 40%, hai na? So here Anisha kept 40%, which is like 2/5. The final defining condition or like the final number condition that is given to us is she would have received 160 grams less. So basically what we need to do here is equate Anisha ke amount of chocolates. We don't really care about, this cousins ka 5:7 ratio and all. This is like just misleading information given to waste our time. So we read the question and we understand that the condition is Anisha ke chocolates we need to compare. We don't really care about the others को क्या दिया है. So वो सब calculate नहीं करना है हमको यहाँ पे. What we'll do is 60% was distributed to the cousins. So what is remaining? 40% is remaining. And what is 40%? 2/5. So 2/5 is what? 2/5 of the total, which is T. This was initially with her. Now second case is, had she distributed entire collection in a 1:1:1 ratio. If she distributed in a 1:1:1 ratio, what will be her share? Her share will be 1/3. 1/3 of what? 1/3 of the total. If she did that, then she would have received 160 grams less. So we have the equation, right? It's like 2/5 of T is what she actually has now. If she did that, then she would have received 1/3 of T. And in doing so, how much is she losing? She is losing 160 grams. But we need to figure out T and we have the answer here. So solving this, 15, so this is 6T minus 5T should give me 160, or T is basically 160 times 15. Now 15 into 15 is 225, 225 plus 15 is 240. So this should be 240 and another 0 because of this. So 2400, this was 160 grams. So total weight is what? 2400 grams, which is 2400 by 1000, which is 2.4 grams. So the correct answer here is 2.4 kg. The intent for having this question was to show that like there can be many times where the entire question is solved without actually using all these things. Because a lot of the times they can do this, like they'll provide some information which is basically not needed to solve the question, extra information, and we get stuck into like solving these, like calculating ki cousins ko kitna diya and all that. So easy question, yeah Zishan, exactly, this is a very easy question. All you just need, this was an example basically for that. And also like we have the 70% off going on in all our courses. You can go check it out. The link has been shared in the description, in the chat. You guys can go check it out. Let's move on to the next question, guys. Yeah, this is also a very simple one. Give this a try. Including this, we will be solving a total of 4 more questions today. Do put the answers in the chat box, guys. This is a very easy question. Okay, guys, let's try solving this. It's a very simple question. Let's see. It says an alloy contains gold and silver in the ratio 3:4. Another alloy contains silver and tin in the ratio 5:4. What ratio should the two alloys be mixed so that the ratio of gold and tin in the new mixture is 4:7? Pretty simple question. So let's consider the alloys to be 1 and 2. Okay. We assume that the alloys are mixed in the ratio x:y. As in, I am taking x amount of alloy 1 and I am taking y amount of alloy 2 and I am mixing them. So in that case, what is the ratio I am mixing them in? X:y, right? So alloy 1 contains gold and silver in the ratio 3:4. So gold and silver is in the ratio 3:4. I'm using the scientific notations here, guys. You can use whatever you want. You can use G for gold, S for silver, whatever. And another contains silver and tin in the ratio 5:4. So silver and tin is in the ratio 5:4. So final mixture में gold and tin का ratio is 4:7. So यहाँ से what is the amount of gold? Amount of gold is basically what? 3/7. 4 plus 3 is 7. 3/7 of x. That is the amount of gold here. Right, and इधर में से what is the amount of tin? Amount of tin is 4. 5 plus 4 9. 4 nines of y. This is the amount of gold and silver, gold and tin in the final mixture. This ratio is given to be 4:7. Equate कर देंगे, खत्म question. So AU by SN, this should be equal to gold and tin, yeah. So 4/7. Amount of gold is 3/7x. Amount of silver is 4/9y. This is equal to 4/7. Now, obviously, looking at it, you will think x or y का value तो नहीं निकाल पाएंगे. One equation, two variables. The thing is, we don't even need to. We need to find the ratio. X:y का ratio क्या होगा? मतलब x by y क्या होगा? That is what we need to find out here. So from here 9 basically goes all the way up. So 3 times 9 times x divided by 7 times 4 times y. This is equal to 4/7. 7 gets cancelled out. This is 27. X by y is basically 4 times 4, which is 16, by 9 3s are 27. So the required ratio is 16:27. Pretty simple question. Option C is the correct answer here. I mean, we could try to solve this using the allegations method as well, but the thing is, allegations ka method hai na, that is handy in some situations, but do not keep that in mind ki, like, whenever I see the word mixture, I have to use allegations, because many times allegations unnecessarily complicate things. Like if you are an enrolled student, or like if you've seen one of our videos, you would have seen ki sir always advocates ki, like, don't really like think always ki, like, you need to do this allegation ka thing. It can complicate a lot of stuff. Here basically using simple ratios and ratios ke properties, we solved it. And that is the case with most of the CAT questions also. it's not necessary that you will need to apply allegations ka thing. Using basic ratio, proportion and percentages ke properties, we can solve a lot of questions. So I think this will be like unnecessarily complicated if I do the allegations ka thing, because I'll have to take a ratio and then like I have to multiply these with that also, so that they are like interchangeable and all. It gets messy. This is a better approach. Let's try the next question, guys. Benzine, if there is something which you felt like, when I was talking in English, because English is more accessible to most of the people, right? So if you want me to explain something in Hindi, please let me know. I'll be comfortable to do that as well. Okay, last 10 seconds, guys. If you have the answer, put it in the chats. Okay, so this time we are split. Some of you said 14A, and Anil, hello world, they said D cannot be determined. Okay, let's see this question. It says कि two natural numbers both divisible by 7 are in the ratio 5:6. So we cannot basically take the numbers to be 5x and 6x, Why we can't take? Because 5x and 6x, we don't know for a fact if they are divisible by 7 or not. So we have to add a factor of 7 also in both the numbers. So what we can do is take the numbers to be 35x and 42x. In that case, both of them are for sure divisible by 7, because it does not depend on x. X can be 1, 2, 3, anything. 35 and 42 will divide by 7. And 35:42 is again like, cut it by 7 and x gets cancelled out. So you get the ratio 5:6 also. So we can let the numbers be 35x and 42x. What should be added to each of the numbers? Let's say we add p to each of the numbers, so that the ratio becomes 7:8. So abhi kya hai? 35x hai. 35x, I am adding p and then 42x also I am adding another p, this final ratio becomes 7:8. That is what the question asks us to do, right? So what we can do here is cross multiply 35x times 8 plus 8p is equal to 42x times 7 plus 7p. Now 35 2s is 70, so 70 times 4 is 280. So either I get 280x plus 8p is equal to 294x plus 7p. This gives me what? This gives me 8p minus 7p, which is p is equal to 294 minus 280, which is 14x. What does this tell us? This tells us that there can be multiple values of x possible, and so there can be multiple values of p possible as well. I think some of you selected 14 because you thought ki like, okay, the numbers are 35 and 42. If I have 35 and 42, then if I add 35 ke saath 14 and if I add 42 ke saath 14, I get this to be 49 divided by 56. So that gives me a 7:8 ka ratio. This is fine. But this is when x is equal to 1. x 1 डालेगा तो p I get 14. If I put x to be equal to 2, in that case my p is 28. So what it means is, if I have x to be equal to 2, in that case my numbers are what? 35x and 42x, right? So x के जगह में 2 डालेगा, so my numbers are 70 and 84. 70 and 84 में if I add 28, 70 plus 28 and again 84 plus 28, this will give me 98 and this will give me 112. This is also 7:8. So what I am trying to say here is, because x ka value we don't know for sure, so p ka value also we don't know for sure. So that is why, see, 28 add karke bhi answer we can get, 14 add karke also we can get the answer. So both of these are correct in a sense? No. The thing is, we cannot definitely determine. So the correct answer is undoubtedly option D. Very clearly we can say, because we cannot determine a particular value, so we will say cannot be determined. Option D needs to be the correct answer here. Also, like from here also we could kind of figure out ki like this is one equation, two variables. So obviously we will not get a definite solution anyways. So the answer should have been cannot be determined. So all the guys who answered A, I'm sorry, you guys are wrong. Hello World and Anil, you got it correct. Option D is the correct answer. Let's move on to the next question for the day, guys. Okay, before we move on to the last few questions, I'd like to tell you guys about our Reddit community. So in Reddit, it is basically a mostly student moderated, a very thriving Reddit community where sir also does like a lot of AMA sessions and everything. So it's called r/IamCat preparation. So if you are on Reddit, you can basically go and check this out. So this is a student moderated community where it's like, you know, all the like-minded people, all of us, right? So people who are taking CAT to taking the other management exams, and like, you know, it's like a community of people together, like-minded people coming together. So if you guys have any doubts on something, the updates about different things, ki like, you know, what is new in the scene, ki like the forms are out or something, whatever it is, like every update you basically get here, because all the people are, you know, like me and you going to take CAT this year again. So this r/IamCat preparation, if you are on Reddit, go check this out, follow our subreddit. Yeah, let's move on to the next questions then, guys. This is also a relatively easy question, guys. Try solving it. Put the answers in the chat box. 30 seconds, guys. Do put the answers in the chat. Okay, so option D is trending. Let's see. This says Raghu, Ramu, and Ravi invest in a company in the ratio of 4:3, 5:4, and 6:5 respectively. After 6 months, all of them increase their investments by 50% each. If the profit at the end is this much, what is the share of Ramu? So this is like, a question where you need to divide the profits based on how much money was invested. So how do we divide it? The profit share basically depends on the time for which the amount was invested, and it also depends on the amount. Okay, like if someone invested more money, they'll probably get a more share. And also if someone has like, same amount of money, if both of them are investing for the time, एक ने suppose 3 साल के लिए किया, the other one did it for 5 years, then the one who did it for 5 years, the same amount of money, that person has to get more profit share. So that is the idea here. But before proceeding into the question, one thing is I do not really like these ratios. They look very ugly. So what we can do is simplify them thoda sa. See, the property of ratio is if this is given A is to B is to C, this will be the same as M times A is to M times B is to M times C. Okay, like तीनों में if I multiply with M, the ratio basically remains the same. So that is only what we will do right now. We have the 3 names. We have Raghu, Ramu, and Ravi. एक का ratio is 4/3. So this is basically 4/3 is to 5/4 is to 6/5. This is basically the idea. These are not workable. Like obviously, like they'll just create problem. So what we do is we multiply something so that we get whole numbers here. What is the best way to do that? Multiply with the LCM. So 3, 4 and 5 ka LCM is, okay, 5 3s are 15, 4s are 60. 60 is the LCM, so we can just basically multiply 60 in all of these. That gives me either say 20, 24 is 80, 15, 15 5s are 75, and either is 5 12, 12 6 are 72. So now this is a much more beautiful, much more workable ratio. Raghu, Ramu and Ravi invested in 80:75:72 ratio. Now about ratios, there is 2 things. one thing is, if I am increasing something with the same percentage, it is basically like me multiplying the same thing, hai na? If A is to B is to C is the same as M times A is to M times B is to M times C, that tells me what? Here they have each increased their invested 50% each. तीनों ने whatever was their initial 50% more they have invested. So which means what? If the initial shares were taken to be say 80x, 75x and 72x, where x is some number, after the investment this will become 1.5 times 80, this will become 1.5 times 75, similarly this will become 1.5 times 72. Crux says ratio still remains the same because 1.5 ही multiply हुआ है. Why this happens here is because they have shown the increase in a percentage. If they had said ki like, you know, the increase is like 500 rupees extra or something, in that case the ratio would not hold. But because they've put it in percentages, because we're basically multiplying it, so the ratio is still holding. So because the ratio is still holding, we can say like the final ratio is also this. Another thing about the time thing, all of them invested at the start of 1 year. All of them invested at the same time, ठीक है? Zero में all three invested. All three invested here. After 6 months, again all three invested. So time also is remaining the same for all three of them. So this actually looks difficult, but it's actually a very easy question. Because the increase is also multiplication is happening, so that is remaining constant. The time frame thing also, three of them, same amount of increase in the same amount of time. So time का भी जो factor था ना, profit share का, profit share depends on what? Profit share depends on the time invested and it also depends on the amount invested, right? So amount का ratio is remaining fixed. The time is remaining same for all of them. So even after all this, like 6 months and everything, we do not really need to calculate, because if you want, you can just calculate it as different things. But finally also you will see that the ratio remains this. This is the final ratio in which the profits should be divided. Now they say ki profit at the end of the year is this. What is the share of Ramu? Ramu ka share will be what? What was the proportion here? Ramu was 75. So this is 75 divided by 80 plus 75 plus 72 times total profit. Total profit is 7945. So this should give me 75 divided by 7, 14, 21, 22, 227 times 7945. Now obviously you can do the calculator here, but I think 227 and 7945 should get cancelled out because all the answers are basically in whole numbers. How do we figure out? 227, 5 at the end, so there has to be some multiplication with 5. So 35, 3, 10, 13, 3, 1, 11. Okay, so this is not it, but there will be some more number here. The final number here is a 4. So if I want a 4 here, means I need a 1 here. To get a 1 here, I need to multiply something with 7 to get a 1. So this should be 3. Yeah, because 7 3s are 21. 1 gives me a 2. 3 2s are 6, 2, 8 and 6. So this should add up to 9, 7. Yeah, 7945. So you could do this or you could just use the calculator. This is a not necessary step. So 35 से multiply करना. So 227 and 35 gives me the product. So Ramu's share is basically 75 times 35. 35, 15, which is 52. Okay, so 25 से end होता है. All of them ending with zeros. This is the only number ending with 5. So the correct answer has to be this. 2625. And also if I multiply this, 21 plus 5, yeah, so 2625 is the answer here. Yeah, so all of you guys were correct. Anil, Madhurya, hello world, Akshat. Okay, let's do the last question for the day, guys. Also, if you are finding the classes to be like, interesting, the questions to be like, fun to do and all, I would ask you guys to like do like the stream so that it reaches more people, so that more people who are like serious cat aspirants like you guys can actually come and watch it. So do like the stream, guys. Let's do the last question for the day. This is thoda sa harder, I would say, but give it a shot. I hope you are able to answer it. Do put the answer in the chats, guys. Okay, guys. So if you answered C, let's see. Let's see. Let's see what is the answer here. Okay. So this question says 25 distinct positive integers are arranged in ascending order. The average of the first 12 is 30, while the average of the last 16 is 60. What is the maximum possible average of 10th, 11th and 12th element in the series? Okay, so what they tell us here, first thing is the numbers are distinct positive, कि all of them are greater than 0, and it also tells us कि they are arranged in ascending order. Ascending order मतलब जैसे 1, 2, 3, 4 छोटा से बड़ा, like from the smallest to the largest it's been arranged. There are 25 positive integers, so let us take them to be A1, A2, okay, one second. So A1, A2, we have to worry about A10, A11, A12, and then it goes all the way up to A25. So these are the 25 numbers, let's say, where A1 is less than A2, less than A3, पूरा जा रहा है कि like the numbers are in ascending order. Average of the first 12 is 30, which means A1 से A12 तक if I add, A1 plus A2 all the way up to A12, I add and then I divide it by 3. Sorry, divide by 12, that gives me a 30. This is one equation. Second equation, they tell us ki average of the last 16 is 60. What is the last 16 numbers? It should go from 10 to 25. 10 to 25, the number of terms from 10 to 25 is 25 minus 10 plus 1, which is 16. Right? The number of numbers between two numbers is given by the formula. The number of numbers between two numbers A and B is given by A minus B plus 1. So that is what we are doing. A10 से A25 के बीच में 25 minus 10 plus 1, which should give me 16. So the thing is A10 plus A11 all the way up to A25. This is the last 16 divided by 16 should give me a 60. What is the maximum possible average of 10th, 11th and 12th? So 10th, 11th and 12th ka maximum average will obviously be when 10, 11 and 12 are in their like big things. 10 has to be greater than less than 11, 11 has to be greater than less than 12. So that tells me that we need to maximize A10 ka value, because if I find the maximum of A10, I can basically figure out the others as well. This is one of those questions, if you had gone for like an arithmetic or algebraic approach, you would end up with like so many equations and you'll just be lost, like, okay, nothing, I'm able to figure out nothing. The reason for taking this question was that this can be solved based on pure reasoning instead of having to solve anything like that. So how do we solve it using reasonings? Okay. So one thing to note here is, if I have three numbers A, B, C, and then their average I need to make it maximum. If I want to make their average maximum, what will I do? I'll increase A, B and C ka value. But the thing is, if they are average, let's say 1, 5 and 7, what will be their average? It's 13 by 3. The question wants us to maximize A10, A11 and A12. So what it means, कि like बाकी सारा number जो है in the thing, we have to make them smaller and smaller as possible. A1 to 9 तो अच्छा ठीक है, they need to be smaller, but the remaining numbers A13 से लेके 25 तक, they also need to be smaller, as small as possible. What is the smallest possible value of A13? The smallest possible value of A13 is A12 plus 1. Why? Because A13 has to be greater than 12 and it is also distinct positive integer. So the smallest possible value of A13 is A12 plus 1. The smallest value of A14 should be A13 plus 1, which means it should be A12 plus 2. That way we can say that because we want the average of these numbers to be 60, the numbers should be arranged in such a way that they are as close to 60 as possible. Because, देखो, 1 plus 5 ka average also gives me 3, and okay, no, let's take 1 plus 7 ka average. This gives me 4, but 3 plus 5 ka average also gives me 4. In which of the cases is the later number maximized? In both these cases, the average is remaining constant, but in which of the cases the smaller number is more? The smaller number is more when all the observations are centered around the average. That was what we need to do. And also another thing for averages in for even numbers, if all the numbers are consecutive, then average we cannot have the number. What I mean is 3 plus 4 plus 5 divided by 3 gives me a 4, but 3 plus 4 plus 5 plus 6, this is not a 4. So because this is not a 4, why? Because we want the average to be 4. So in the number we cannot actually have 4. So that tells me कि A10, A12 इनका जो whatever we have to make of these, we can arrange them something like this. We want it to be 60. So there will be a 59 and a 61 in the mix. 59, because this is an even number of terms. So there has to be a 59 and a 61 in the mix, because 59 plus 61 should give me a 60. What will be the remaining numbers? The remaining numbers need to be as like small as possible. So we will get 62, 63, 64 all the way. 8 का difference होगा, right? So 61, 62, 64, they'll always go up to 68. And 59 के इधर we'll get 58, 57, 56, 55, 54 and 53 and 52. So this should be the arrangement of the numbers such that the average is 60 and these three numbers are also maximized. We want these three numbers to be maximized. So because we want these three numbers to be maximized, and these are what? A10, A11 and A12. So the maximum value for these numbers should be this. Maximum value of these numbers should be this. Now, to one case we figured out to do this one, but what about this? How do we use this? Now the thing is, A1 say A12 divided by 12 should give me a 30, which means A1 plus A2 plus all the way up to A9 plus 52 plus 53 plus 54 should give me a 30 times 12. Now this one will have many solutions. This one will have many solutions such that A1 is less than or equal to, no, equal to nahi hoga because individual, less than A3, less than A9. This one will have many solutions and all of this is less than 52. This will also be there. So I can say ki, for whatever values of A1 to A9, whatever values of A1 to A9 we take, if this is A10, A11 and A12, then I can get solutions. So what it basically means is both the conditions that we had, both of them will be satisfied here. Now because both the conditions will be satisfied here, that tells me ki A10, A11 or A12 can be 52, 53 and 54, and in that case their average should be, divided by 3, so the average should be 53. So the correct answer here should be option A, which is 53. So this was one of those questions, you know, it required like a little bit of reasoning. It's a very hard question, I would say. If you guys have any questions in this or any questions in general, please let me know. I am here for another minute. After that, we'll call it a day. And also guys, if you like the questions and if you like the stream, then please like the stream so that it goes to more people. I'm here for another minute if you guys have any questions in this. Okay guys, then I guess this is it. Thank you all for joining in. I hope you guys had a good learning experience. We'll see you guys in the next one.